Building momentum makes you feel alive because every area of your life is either feeding or draining the others. So let me say this straight, because you already know it. You don't feel off because you're ungrateful or lost or broken. You don't feel restless because something's missing externally. And you're not burnt out because you need a holiday. You feel dead inside because your life isn't moving forward together. Some parts are trying, some parts are coasting and floating, and some parts are quietly rotting and fucking up all the other areas, and your nervous system knows it. So that's what this video is really about. Why momentum feels better than any drug you could ever consume, any win, any distraction you've ever chased, and why when you finally build it, life starts feeling alive again. Not just exciting, but alive. Because here's the lie that you've been sold. You've been told to get a balanced life, start getting some balance in your life. Work here, gym there, relationships somewhere there, mental health once a month, money later. And that advice kind of sounds sensible. But it's also why you feel like you're being split in half or split 1,000 ways, because life doesn't work in compartments. Your brain doesn't work that way. Your identity definitely doesn't. Every area of your life feeds the other or bleeds into them. There is no neutral. And the reason momentum feels so good is because for the first time in a long time, everything starts pulling in that same direction. It's as simple as that. So here's why momentum feels like your life's coming back alive. So let me describe something that I know that you felt before. You train consistently for a few weeks, nothing dramatic, no transformational montage, but suddenly you start waking up earlier. You're sharper at work. You stop tolerating bullshit, you eat better without forcing it, and you start having better conversations. And most importantly, you feel more confident making decisions, not because the gym fixed your life, but because momentum leaks into every other area of your life. And this is where this is a part that most men miss. You don't train just to look good. You don't work just to make money. You don't just journal to be calm. You do these things because the movement in one area unlocks the movement in the other areas, and they all work together. The momentum is transferable and stagnation is contagious. Here's a dangerous combination. Success but staying stuck, and this is where the video is really aimed, because you're not a mess. Your life looks okay on paper from the outside looking in. You've got a decent enough on income, you've got some structure. Some people look at your life and think you're doing well, but inside something feels off, empty, flat, like you're living at 60%. That's because you are living at 60%. It's not desperation or depression, it's partial momentum. You're moving in one lane and you've got life parked off in the other lanes, and your brain hates the inconsistency, the feeling of not being aligned. Because for physical momentum changes how you think. So let's start here, because this is the easiest gateway drug. When you move your body consistently, something subtle starts to happen. You stop negotiating with yourself as much. You stop needing perfect conditions. You prove quietly that you can do the hard things without drama. And that spills over to every other area of your life. So suddenly you don't avoid emails. You make the calls that you've been delaying. You stop overthinking simple decisions, and you feel more capable under pressure. Not because you're disciplined, but because you've trained your nervous system to move forward instead of freezing up every time. That's what momentum feels like. So let's talk about financial momentum, because it's built on trust, not skill. So here's a truth that most men don't want to hear as well. Your money problems are rarely about intelligence, because you're a smart guy. They're about follow through. When you're physically stagnant, financially you hesitate. And when you're mentally scattered, financially you start making bad decisions. And when you're emotionally dysregulated, you start self-sabotaging yourself. But when momentum's flowing, you send those sales messages, you follow up again, you ask for the price, you raise your standards, you stop undercutting yourself and start believing in your value. Not because you learn some new tactic, but because you've learned to trust yourself again. And momentum builds confidence faster than a course ever will. Because mental momentum is not positivity, it's alignment. And this is where people get it wrong. Mental momentum isn't being calm all the time. It isn't being happy. It isn't staying in a high vibe. It's knowing that you're living in line with your own standards. You feel mentally clear when your words match your actions. Your promises aren't empty. Your days actually make sense to you because you're living in alignment. And that's why journaling works. Not because it's spiritual, but because it exposes where you're lying to yourself. And momentum removes that cognitive dissonance. Straight away, you start feeling less exhausted and you've got more focus. So let's talk about spiritual momentum without all the weird shit. So let's strip it down to the basics. Spiritual momentum isn't incense sticks and fancy quotes. It's integrity. It's knowing I'm doing what I said I would do. It's that I'm not hiding from myself. It's I'm not living two separate lives, keeping up appearances. That's why momentum feels so grounded and exciting, because you stop feeling fragmented. You stop feeling like a fraud in your own body and in your own life. You become harder to shake. Not because life gets easier, but because you start being solid within yourself. And that's what people mean when they say become unfuckwithable. So here's why losing momentum feels so bad. Now let's talk about it from the other side. Because when momentum drops, it doesn't just affect one area. It starts bleeding out into all the different areas. You start skipping training, then you feel flat, then you procrastinate, then you fuck up with your money, and then you have to do something to make yourself feel better. And then you avoid it, then you repeat, not because you're weak, because everything feeds into one another. That's why one bad habit can undo 5 good ones. And that's why one good habit can restart and move your whole life forward. So here's the biggest mistake that I've seen men make when trying to get back on track. They try to fix everything at once. New routine, new diet, new plan, new clothes, new identity. That's not momentum. That's panic disguised as productivity, because momentum doesn't come from intensity. It comes from continuity, from doing something small consistently that reconnects you to forward motion. 5 minutes, one task and one kept promise. That's it. So here's why momentum makes life actually feel meaningful again. And here's the part that nobody talks about. Momentum creates meaning, not purpose statements, not vision boards, but movement. When your life's moving forward, days feel fuller, time feels slower, problems feel solvable, and you start feeling useful and powerful again. So you don't need constant stimulation and distraction, because you're engaged, alive, excited, at one with yourselves. Here's the quiet truth. You don't need a breakthrough. You don't need motivation. And you don't even need to fix yourself. You just need to build some momentum that links your body, your mind and your money and your whole identity together. That's why half measures feel hollow. That's why comfort feels empty, and that's why distractions stop working. Because you weren't built to coast. So here's how to start without overcomplicating it. Here's the simple rule. Do one thing today that moves you physically, or moves you financially, or moves you mentally. And don't let it break, not because it's impressive, but because it's honest. Momentum doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for reliability. It's as simple as that. And if you want the private system that I give to all my clients and that I use in my own life, click the link in the description of this video or comment the word blueprint and you'll get a free copy of the Become Unfuckwithable Blueprint, the simple system to eradicate the self-sabotage and get that momentum building in your life again. It's proven to work. I've got numerous testimonials and client spotlights, because momentum is life. Not excitement, not pleasure, but momentum. When everything else feeds into it, you stop feeling flat, scattered and restless, and you start feeling alive again, and it's a beautiful feeling. So if you're done living in pieces and you want a life where your body, your money, your mind and your standards all move forward together, click the link in the description and get your free copy of the Become Unfuckwithable Blueprint, because I help successful men to eliminate the self-sabotage and become unfuckwithable again, creating momentum that compounds. So I'll see you in the next video, but don't bother clicking on the next video if you're not going to get the free copy of the Become Unfuckwithable Blueprint. I'll see you in the next video. Let's fucking have it.